Hey, Ecommerce Marketing Podcast listener, are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own referral program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. I am your host, Arlen Robinson, and today we have a very special guest, Neil Patel, who is a New York Times bestselling author. The Wall Street Journal calls him a top influencer on the web. The Forbes says he's one of the top 10 marketers, and Entrepreneur Magazine says he created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. He was recognized as a top 100 entrepreneur under the age of 30 by President Obama and a top 100 entrepreneur under the age of 35 by the United Nations. Welcome to the podcast, Neil.
Thanks for having me. I'm starting to feel old. I'm no longer 30, and then you're telling me 35, and I'm like, wait, I'm not 35. I'm getting old.
Don't feel bad, man. I'm in the same boat. I told you I'm 21 years into this business, and man, I feel like a dinosaur at this point, man. But I know we've both seen a lot when it comes to the internet and all things internet, all things e-commerce. So it's been quite a journey. And as far as today is concerned, there's probably not too many digital marketing topics that aren't off limits. I know with you that you probably haven't covered before. But one of the topics that always keeps coming up and seems to be a hot topic that I want to kind of dive into is link building, because I think that's kind of, I guess you could say, almost a cornerstone of achieving SEO success these days, having a solid link building strategy. So I definitely want to pick your brain a little bit about that. But before we do get into that, why don't you just elaborate a little bit more specifically into, how you really got into what you're doing today?
Yeah. So, years and years ago, I started a job board when I was 16 years old because I couldn't find a job online. So I'm like, let me just start my own job website. Did that, didn't do well. And the reason it didn't do well is because no one came to my job website. And I learned about this little thing called marketing, and you got to do marketing to get people to come to your site.
Right.
Eventually, I learned marketing, got decent at it, and started doing more and more of it over the years. But what was interesting is throughout the whole process, I had a journey in which I did everything from helping companies grow their traffic to creating software solutions, kind of like your background, to solving problems that these companies had, to all going full circle, in which, these days I have an ad agency, Neil Patel Digital, where we help companies grow their traffic. And that's been doing that for quite a while now. And similar to you, I feel like a dinosaur, although you don't look like a dinosaur, so you're good on that.
Thanks a lot. You don't either.
Yeah, but I do have to say you got an amazing hairdo,
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Well, it comes with
great minds think alike,
Yeah, definitely. You as well, man. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And, like I said, today I wanted to kind of focus on link building. And so I guess looking down at it from, the way I see it, building links, like I said, I think is really kind of a cornerstone of SEO. And really, why do you think that is? And do you think the way Google interprets their rankings, do you think it's something that really is going to change anytime soon? Because I know everybody is always wondering, all right, should I just focus so much on it? What if the algorithm pivots? What's your whole take on that?
So let's go back with the notion of links. Okay. Think of links as in votes. So we recently had a presidential election. Biden won, right, over Trump.
Right.
And it's based on one simple thing in the United States. The person with the most votes tends to win. The reason I say tends to win is because in the United States, the system is on a state-by-state basis, right? Winner takes all the electoral votes per state. But generally speaking, the person with the most votes typically wins elections.
Right.
The same thing is with the internet. See, a presidential candidate, without getting political, whether you're Trump or Biden, can make all these claims. They can say one thing or another, but do they actually hold up? Do they actually do what they're going to promise? A website is similar. A website could say, I'm the best website for marketing, so I should rank at the top. I'm the best website for selling dog foods. I should rank higher than Chewy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what Google's looking at is links. Links are votes. The more links a website has, in essence, the more people are voting for that website and saying, hey, Google, we actually like this site. You should rank them higher. But not all links are equal. If I, Neil Patel, go out there and I say, go vote for this president, or let me make it up, even better example. My buddy Curtis is sitting next to me. If Curtis goes out there and tells everyone to vote for President Trump or ex-President Trump, let's say the race is still going on, but Obama comes by and says, hey, I want you guys all to vote for Biden. Who carries more weight, Obama or Curtis, if you had to guess?
Well, definitely Obama.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason being is he's someone of authority, and he also was a president. So he's a better person to say, hey, you should go do this. Forget Democrats or Republicans. That doesn't matter in this example. Google has something similar. If I, Neil Patel, say, or if Curtis has a website, curtis.com, versus New York Times, and they're linking to your business, or Curtis is linking to my business, New York Times is linking to your business, the New York Times one is going to have more authority and it's going to be more effective because it's New York Times and everyone knows New York Times. So with the internet, Google's looking at how closely relevant is it? EX, Obama is a president talking to you about politics is more relevant than me, Neil Patel, talking to you about politics.
Right.
They also look at authority. A New York Times is more authoritative than joetheplumber.com, right? And for those reasons, because it's hard to build links, I do think it's going to be a piece of the algorithm for a long time, but I don't think it's going to be as important as it used to be. And it's been diminishing. And here's what I mean by that. They're using things like user metrics. Is someone clicking on a search result and then clicking the back button?
Yeah.
Because when you do a Google search, are you ever like, man, this site's amazing. They got 1 million backlinks. You don't really care if it has one link or a million. You just want to know how relevant it is and is it good in solving the problems that you're looking to solve.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's always a big question because, no matter what the SEO strategy is or tactic, businesses these days are wondering, you can go all in on it. You can invest a lot into it. You can hire, a bunch of staff to focus on that, like you said, with link building. But the question is, where is this going to be 3-5 years from now? And I understand what you're saying. The bottom line, and this has, I think, always been Google's kind of mission and their credo, is that, they want to provide the best possible results for that user. How can they get the user the best answer for their question? And so at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily mean that the site that has more links pointing back to it is going to provide those best answers. So I think you definitely always have to look at it like that. Now, the next thing I wanted to ask with regards to e-commerce businesses, because, here with my business, OSI Affiliate Software, we deal with a lot of e-commerce companies. And it's almost like a dance that I see business owners having to play with regards to coming up with, as far as ranking and building links and providing, not only selling their products and services, the goal is, of course, to increase their sales, increase their traffic. But at the end of the day, like you said, Google's, main mission is to provide the best possible answer. And so there's really always like a kind of a dance people play with selling a product, providing, a solid product, solid service, but at the same time, educating their customer, providing the best possible information around that product. And so, in your experience, what are some specific strategies as far as, building links, growing your content that can, help businesses be a little bit more, I guess you could say, kind of focused as to, where they really go with this whole strategy of building links?
It all comes down to content. And if, I know this is largely e-commerce, but I would say one of the best strategies that I've seen for e-commerce is A, create a good product that people want to buy, but that's a given. And B, create content that is super educational. Like we've all seen it, the 10 best toaster ovens, those articles out there, the 10 best electric bikes.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about have a list and your affiliate links in there, or have a list and just promote your own products. Like really do an in-depth analysis. Oh, this bike, the battery lasts longer. This one is harder to start. This one, the seat's not as comfortable. This one works better on off-roading. This one is not street legal and you're going to get tickets. And like just going super, super in-depth, and just like so much so that when someone reads it, they're like, I know what bike I need to get. This one works best for my family. It's a safe, or it has a best safety rating. My kids are less likely to fall. I should buy this one on this list because even though it's number 3, it's meant for outdoors and doing stunts. That's me, right? And this is like when you get super in depth and someone doesn't have any more questions, where they don't have to click the back button and go back to Google and read the next article. That's the kind of content that's going to get you the links. The second thing I tell people when they write these kind of articles is you can't forget the marketing and content marketing. So you got to email out people. Let's say I link to you and you're one of the bikes on the list. I would say, hey, check it out. If you like it, feel free and share it on the social web. Feel free and link to it if you want to talk to your audience about the ratings that we gave your bike, right? And showcase it. But like people forget to do the marketing side of quote unquote writing content. And in e-commerce, if you just write a ton of content that's super detailed and thorough like that, you can do well.
Yeah. Very, very true. Now, as far as like link building, with, one of the example that you mentioned, as far as the authority of a site, you compared, President Obama to your friend Curtis. And as far as, of course, clearly, I don't know Curtis, so I don't know what level he's at, but, we're assuming that Obama has a higher authority than Curtis.
Yeah.
And so.
And I love Curtis to death, but that's a very, very fair assumption.
Gotcha. And so, if a company is just launching, let's say they're an e-commerce startup, they're just launching a brand, they really don't have any authority as far as the eyes of Google are concerned. The goal is, of course, you're trying to get higher authority sites to, link back to you so you can start to build your authority. But since you're kind of fresh out of the gates, you have no authority, no real brand recognition. What does a company do in that case to try to attract higher authority, to get links from higher authority sites? Because that's, I think, a really difficult task, especially for startups and people that are usually just getting out there.
So what I would do is I have a free tool. Go to neilpatel.com/backlinks, BACKLINKS. Put in your competitor URLs. You can see what pages that high authority sites are linking to your competitors. Go look at their content, go create better content than that, and reach out to those same sites and tell them, hey, Curtis, I know you linked out to, or hey, Curtis, I saw in your New York Times article, you linked out to the site. They didn't cover 1, 2, and 3. We sell toilet paper as well, but like, look at this test. Like we had running water drip through the faucet and look what it did to our toilet paper. It still works. The other players, toilet paper doesn't work, and we did all this analysis on all these toilet papers out there to figure out the durability, the softness, so that way your tushy is comfortable when you use toilet paper. I'm making up, that's probably not the best example, but the overall concept of seeing who links your competition, seeing what content is popular on their website and getting the most links from these authority sites, writing similar content that's just more thorough, better, more useful, and then hitting up those sites and getting them to link to you is super effective. Just people don't want to take the time and effort to do it.
Yeah, that's the big thing. And that makes a lot of sense. It's, you can't just go out there and expect to get a link because I know a lot of business owners that everybody's in a hurry. They can see other similar content and you can do your own take on it. But the thing you want to focus on is how do you make that content better? Because the bottom line is, especially if you have no authority, no brand, or recognition, what is your offer? What are you going to provide that other company with? And so, like you said, if you add something to that article where like you said, you did the test of the toilet paper, which is definitely really interesting. And I'm sure that would catch people's eyes, drive attention, could drive more traffic to that. That would, go a long way, rather than taking the competitor's article, just kind of cloning it, putting your own spin on it. It's really, you're just really regurgitating the same information. I think that's a lot of times businesses do that, but the focus is on how can you make it better. So yeah, that's great.
Because
great
if you just regurgitate, it's not going to work. Because at the same time, why would they want to change the links? This worked for them. You got to give them a good reason.
Yeah, exactly. Now, of course, you did mention that you seeing now less of an emphasis on this, links and building links within the eyes of Google. It may not be as important as you mentioned. The bottom line is, of course, providing the best answer. Where do you see the shift going? Like, where do you see things going as far as what would be more of an area that in the future businesses, e-commerce businesses will start to focus more on, as opposed to link building?
User experience. Here's what I mean by this. Let's say you have a product page and you're selling a television. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm looking through a computer screen. You can talk about how you're 4K, 8K, Ultra HD. I'm making up some of these words, 16K. And how can you really tell through a computer screen? Because my computer screen is not 16K HD.
Right.
So when I mean user experience, I'm like showing other competing products and showing the difference in video quality.
I gotcha.
Because even though I'm looking through my computer screen, which isn't 16K, if you're showing me what it means to be different, that's an example of having me better understand, which is user experience. Another thing would be show me different aspects of the TV. Hey, here's how many ports it has. Here's how it's easy to set up. Here's all the reviews and ratings of this. Here's not just the pictures. Here's also the profile of the TV. And even though this is the profile, when you put it on your wall, here's actually how deep it is, because you're going to have some wires on the back of your TV, so it's not as skinny. And then by the way, here's a video giving you a tutorial on how the TV looks like, what it works, and all that kind of stuff. Right. So that's an example of user experience. The more in depth you get, the better off you are.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get that. And it's because I think all of that, not only will it help, your rankings, if you have a better user experience on the website, that's going to lessen, the bounce rate, people bouncing from your search result query to your site and then saying, okay, this site is trash, I'm going to go back to Google, look for another one. If that time on site is very low and they're bouncing back looking for other results, then then you're going to have a problem. But like you said, if there's a great user experience, and like you said in the example of those TVs, if you're able to show that level of detail and have a good comparison, that's going to compel people to stay. And it makes a lot of sense. And I can definitely see how things are shifting. I
think Apple, when you want to think in depth, think about how Apple really goes through their products to explain them when they have new products that come out.
Right.
How it's unique and their features and how many pixels. Now, keep in mind, they're missing some elements that you would want, like reviews and stuff like that. But they're Apple. They got a big brand. What they can get away with, you can't. No offense to anyone. There's just the reality. I can't get away with what they can get away with. And they built up a strong brand with a loyal following and a lot of trust. Not saying you can't do that over time, but in the short run, you need to, think Apple combined with Amazon.
Yeah, very, very true. The level of detail is definitely a great takeaway as far as their whole user experience that Apple does provide with everything that they put out. Well, as we get ready to wrap things up, Neil, many people know that, your brand in the whole digital marketing space, neilpatel.com, Neil Patel Digital, all of your brands have been pretty prominent these days for the past few years. And so I know you've been really successful building links over the years. What are some key things, or I guess some quick key takeaways that you've learned over the years? I guess maybe a few quick do's and don'ts when it does come to link building based on your experience.
Don't try to focus on building tons of links. Focus on quality.
Okay.
Number 2 is don't build links too fast. It's not everything. I found that when you build less links, slow and steady, you tend to rank better.
Okay.
The third thing that I would mention to people is the best way to build links is not actually to go out there and break guidelines and buy links or do anything shady like that. I would avoid that.
Okay.
It's more so to create amazing product, amazing service, creating amazing content. That's the stuff that really helps. And it's much more efficient and effective to do that kind of stuff than it is to, spend a ton of money, paying people to help you build the links, right? It's like spend that money on actually creating a better product, service, content. Like that's a real way to win.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely. I'm glad you said that, because these days I think everyone is really looking for, so many quick wins. There's a ton of services where you can, buy a ton of links. You can get links, really quickly, but in the long run, it's not, you're not going to have as much success. Whereas if you were to go slow and steady, focus on, eventually getting the higher authority links to your site, it's just more natural. And I think also that also helps with Google as well, because of course, if overnight, let's say you have 10 links now, and then overnight you got 1,000 links pointing to your site. Obviously, that's a red flag, in the eyes of Google, and things like that. And you can get in some trouble with that.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's definitely been awesome talking to you, Neil. I've definitely learned a lot, and I know our listeners have as well. Because everybody really wants to know, what do you got to focus on? Link building, like I said, is always been, well, it has been at least for several years now, kind of a cornerstone. But it's good to see that as things are shifting, the user experience is what you really want to focus on. The bottom line is, making the customer happy, providing the right information, the best information for people that are visiting your site. So I'm glad you were able to share that. But lastly, before we let you go, I always like to switch gears here with my final question, just so our audience can get to know you a little bit better. If you don't mind sharing one closing fun fact with us that you think our audience would be interested to know about yourself.
I'm OCD. I'm like a clean freak.
Okay. I think I'm in that same category, actually.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like every little thing, like I can't have toothpaste squeezed in the middle of a tube. Like I'm very particular, sadly.
Gotcha. No problem, man. I'm the same way. I'm a bit of a neat freak. If I go in somewhere and things are out of place, if the kitchen is dirty, a lot of times I can't go to bed if there's one fork in the sink. It's got to be clean, put away. So I know what you mean, man. I'm the same way. I've always been kind of neat and orderly. And it's good to know, man. Thanks for sharing that. But great, Neil. Well, lastly, before we let you go, of course, if anybody wants to reach out to you, pick your brain anymore, learn about link building or any other digital marketing tactics, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
npdigital.com.
Okay, great. That's easy. npdigital.com. So we'll definitely have our listeners reach out to you there and then see what you have to offer. And definitely, it's been awesome talking to you, Neil. We appreciate you coming on today on the E-commerce Marketing Podcast.
Take care. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode of the E-commerce Marketing Podcast, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know.